I am currently making the slurry with the cornstarch. I'm mixing it up to make sure that there aren't any clumps in the pan. Then I'm going to bring it to a boil and pour it in the bowl and see what happens. Starting to boil, and it has definitely changed in viscosity and translucency. I'm about to pour it into the cup and we'll look at it. For the second variable in this experiment, I am using white rice flour. I went to the store this morning and looked for tapioca flour and I could not find it. I was procrastinating this whole week, and so I am using rice flour that was also mentioned in the lab handout. So hoping that it yields similar results. For the final variable in this experiment, I am using 100% whole grain, whole wheat flour. So we're gonna see what happens with this once I bring it to a boil. We're getting somewhere. Yay. I am now making the slurry with the cornstarch and the sugar mixture. We're going to bring that up to a boil and then put it in the little bowl, and we will repeat one more time with vinegar instead of sugar. I am currently trying to homogenize the cornstarch and the vinegar before adding the water to it. I have added the water to the pot, and now we're going to see what happens once it starts to boil. As the heat is starting to increase inside of the pot, I have noticed that it has lost some of that white color that it had initially. Alright, these are the results that I have for everything while it is hot. However, the progression in which I did the different variables has caused them to like kind of cool in different time periods. So don't know exactly how accurate the comparison is going to be while they're all hot, but cornstarch kind of has like a film that formed on top of it as it started to cool. And it's pretty translucent but a little bit white. And the rice flour is really thick, kind of gummy looking. It is obviously white throughout, just opaque all the way through. Then the whole wheat flour, you can see like a lot of sediment in the top of it, and let's see, yeah, it just looks more granulated, and it is the least viscous, the most runny out of all the others. And I've got the cornstarch with sugar and the cornstarch with vinegar. The only real difference that I've noticed from them is that like on the side of the cornstarch and sugar, you've got like a couple of air bubbles, and I'm wondering if they just got trapped when I poured it in. But then with the vinegar, there are a lot more air bubbles comparatively. So I don't know why that happened. I don't know if there was like a reaction while it was heating and a specific gas was formed, or if it just like gets trapped when I'm pouring it. All right, for the last experiment with the sugar, I am doing the non-crystalline candies because I want to make lollipops. I am combining the sugar and the cornstarch and the water, and I'm just trying to kind of mix it up, and then I'm going to attach the candy thermometer that I have right there, and then I will turn on the heat. Okay, so I had to switch pots because when I tried to attach the candy thermometer, everything in the bottom was too shallow because the pot was too wide. So I had to switch pots, but I think we are all good now. Just turned on the heat. So we're just gonna kind of keep stirring it and then let it come up to temperature. Funny story, I actually tried to make lollipops one time before. It was before I had this candy thermometer, and it was also before I bought cornstarch, which was today. And so I used a different recipe that I found online, and I tried to use like visual cues to see what the temperature was, or kind of gauge what the temperature was at, so I would know when they were done. And it turns out it did not get hot enough, and probably not having the cornstarch affected it too. I can't remember what I used instead. When I thought it was done, I poured it all out, and I had like little toothpicks and everything, and they were not at the hard crack temperature. They were just below it, so it turned into a very sticky, taffy like candy that you talked about. And I still tried to eat some of it, and it pulled the filling off of my front tooth. I kept saying cornstarch in that story, but I meant to say corn syrup. Alright, here's just an update. My candy thermometer is reading just under 220 degrees, but the boiling looks pretty cool. Okay, so all of the starch mixtures have been in the fridge for a while, and they have cooled down. The cornstarch is very jelly-like. It just kind of like breaks apart into clumps. And then the rice flour, it's gummier than the cornstarch. It also like kind of separates from the bowl, but if I like dip my finger in it, it sticks to my hands, which doesn't happen with the cornstarch. And the whole wheat flour is still pretty liquidy. It's like kind of a gummy, but really wet. So has the least amount of amylose, and this has the highest amount based on the results, and rice flour somewhere in the middle. Here I've got the cornstarch and the sugar, and then the cornstarch with the vinegar. The sugar is pretty similar to just the cornstarch by itself. It's still like a little bit more translucent in color. And then the cornstarch with the vinegar is pretty watery still. I know that the acid being added to the mixture, it like breaks up the water, and so the water is not able to go into the starch granules, so it has the water in it. So after the sugar mixture reached 310 degrees, I turned the heat off really fast, and I added some strawberry extract and some lemon extract, hoping for like a strawberry lemonade candy. But it's right here. I wanted it to harden faster, so I put it in the freezer, and it is solid. So I'm going to break it and enjoy.